Have you ever stopped to wonder, who is truly in control of your life? Is it fate, some grand plan written in the stars, or could it be you? The answer lies in one of the most powerful yet often misunderstood principles of the universe: free will. Now, free will, what does that even mean? It's this beautiful, profound gift we've all been given, the ability to choose, to decide, to shape our own reality. And yet, many of us move through life as if we're simply at the mercy of external forces, forgetting that, deep down, the power to influence our world is already within us. Think about it. Every moment, every decision you make, no matter how small, is a testament to this divine ability. What you focus on, how you react, and where you choose to go next, those are all reflections of your will. And this is the key to creating a life that is not just lived, but intentionally designed. You might be wondering, if free will is such a powerful force, why don't we use it more consciously? The truth is, many of us have been conditioned to believe we're powerless. We get trapped in routines, expectations, societal pressures, and we forget that at any point we can choose a different path. Free will is not just about making big, life-altering decisions. It's about the little moments, the thoughts you allow into your mind, the feelings you hold on to, and the actions you decide to take. Free will reminds us that our reality isn't happening to us. It's happening because of us. And when you truly understand that, life no longer feels random or out of control. It feels like a canvas waiting for you to paint with your choices. A high-energy, eye-catching YouTube thumbnail with bold, bright colors like electric blue, neon green, and radiant yellow. The focus is on a powerful image of a person standing confidently, radiating light and energy from their body, symbolizing empowerment and transformation. The background features abstract cosmic elements like stars and energy waves, giving it a mystical, spiritual vibe. The text is bold and dynamic, with phrases like "unlock your power" and "the truth about free will" in large, contrasting fonts. The overall feel should be motivating and inspiring, with a design that immediately draws the viewer's attention. Now that you understand the essence of free will, let's dive deeper into the power of personal autonomy. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a garden. Every thought, every decision you make is like planting a seed. You get to choose what grows in that space. Do you plant doubt and fear? Or do you plant hope, courage, and resilience? This is the heart of autonomy. You are the gardener, you decide what takes root. Autonomy isn't just about big life choices like where to live or what career to pursue. It's about everything. From the thoughts you entertain to the energy you give away, every single moment is shaped by your decisions. You're not just a passenger on the journey of life, you're the driver. And here's the thing. Recognizing your personal autonomy is one of the most liberating realizations you can have. When I first started to really grasp this concept, it hit me hard. I realized how often I had surrendered my power to circumstances, to other people's expectations, or even to my own self-doubt. But once you see that you hold the keys, you stop waiting for permission from the world. You realize no one else is writing your story, you are. The choices you make and how you think and feel set the stage for everything else. If you wake up every morning telling yourself that you don't have control, then you're choosing to give away your power. But when you embrace your autonomy, when you decide that every thought and action is yours to guide, something shifts. Life starts to reflect back the power you've claimed. And think about how empowering that truly is. The knowledge that, no matter what external chaos might surround you, you get to choose how you respond. You get to decide how your inner world operates. That is the magic of autonomy. It's about reclaiming your inner authority, understanding that while the world can be unpredictable, your inner compass is always within your control. To me, this is where true freedom lies, not in having no obstacles, but in knowing that, despite them, you are the one who decides how you'll navigate through them. When you own your autonomy, you realize that life doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. And that, my friend, changes everything. Here's where things get really interesting: responsibility. It's a word that can feel heavy, maybe even intimidating, but let me tell you, it's one of the most empowering aspects of free will. You see, with the freedom to make choices comes the responsibility for the results of those choices. And if we're being honest, this is where a lot of people get stuck. I mean, who hasn't been there? We make a decision, things don't go as planned, and suddenly, we're looking for someone or something to blame. Maybe it's the circumstances, maybe it's another person, maybe it's just bad luck. But here's the truth, a truth that can be hard to swallow at first. We are responsible for the outcomes of our decisions, even when those outcomes are uncomfortable. And I'll admit, this isn't always an easy pill to swallow. I remember moments in my life where I faced the consequences of decisions I didn't think through, or worse, decisions I made based on fear instead of trust. It's easy to feel victimized in those moments, to think, why is this happening to me? But when you take a step back and realize that every choice carries a consequence, suddenly you're no longer a victim. You're a participant. You're in the game. Here's where the real power lies. Accepting responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself harshly when things go wrong. It's about acknowledging that every outcome, good or bad, is a result of the choices you've made. And that, my friend, is where growth happens. When you take ownership of your choices, you start to see how much control you truly have over your life. No more waiting for things to get better on their own. You realize that the power to change, to improve, to create is in your hands. Think about this. If you're willing to accept responsibility for the negative outcomes, it means you also get to claim responsibility for the positive ones. And that's a beautiful thing. It's this delicate balance of cause and effect. The universe isn't punishing you, nor is it rewarding you out of nowhere. It's simply reflecting back the energy, the choices, and the intentions you put out there. Taking responsibility is the doorway to freedom. It means you're no longer waiting for a better circumstance to appear. You're creating it. You're shaping your reality with every decision, every action. And when you truly embrace that, life stops feeling like it's happening to you and starts feeling like something you're actively crafting. That's the real magic of responsibility. It's not a burden, it's the key to unlocking your own potential. Now, let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed but is deeply profound: the energetic impact of the choices we make. You might be thinking, what does energy have to do with my decisions? Well, more than you can imagine. Every choice, no matter how small, sends ripples through the universe. It's like throwing a pebble into a still pond. Those ripples spread out far beyond what we can see. What we choose to think, feel, and act upon doesn't just affect our immediate surroundings. It creates an energetic wave that influences everything and everyone around us. And this isn't some abstract idea, it's very real. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the tension in the air? Or maybe you've been around someone whose energy lifted your spirits without them saying a word. That's energy at play, and it's influenced by the choices we make. When you choose to act with kindness, you're not just being nice in that moment. You're raising the energy around you, creating a space where others can feel lighter, more at ease. On the flip side, when we choose anger, resentment, or negativity, it doesn't just affect us. It spreads, creating a heaviness that lingers. This is something I've experienced personally time and time again. There have been moments where I've reacted out of frustration or fear, and it wasn't just me that felt the weight of it, everyone around me could sense it. It's like the atmosphere shifts and suddenly the energy becomes denser. But here's the beautiful part. Just as we can send out negative energy, we have the power to send out positivity, healing, and light. And it doesn't stop at the people around us. Our choices also influence the larger universe. Every time you make a decision, you're putting energy out there, and the universe is constantly responding to it. It's not magic, it's the law of energy. Like attracts like, and the energy we emit, through our choices, comes back to us in the form of experiences. This realization was a game changer for me. It made me look at my decisions in a new light. Suddenly, every choice carried more weight, more meaning, because I understood that it wasn't just about the immediate outcome. It was about the energy I was contributing to the world. When we start to think of our choices as energy in motion, we become more intentional. We recognize that even the smallest decision can have a far-reaching impact, not just on our own lives but on the world around us. It's a responsibility, yes, but it's also a gift, a reminder that we're co-creators of the reality we live in. So, the question becomes, what kind of energy are you putting out there? Because that energy is shaping your world, moment by moment. Let's take this one step further: conscious decision-making. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that the decisions we make without truly thinking are the ones that shape our lives in the most profound ways. And yet, how many of us actually stop to reflect before making a choice? I know I've been guilty of rushing into decisions without fully considering their impact. And here's the thing: when we operate on autopilot, we're not really exercising our free will. We're reacting instead of choosing. You see, to make a conscious decision means to be fully present in that moment, to pause and ask yourself, is this choice aligned with who I truly am? Does this move me closer to the life I want to create? It's easy to get swept up in emotions, external pressures, or even habits. But real power comes from making choices that are grounded in awareness. Think about it like this: every choice is like planting a seed, right? But a conscious decision is like planting a seed in fertile soil with care and intention. You know it's going to grow into something meaningful because you've taken the time to choose wisely. Unconscious choices? Those are like throwing seeds onto rocky ground. Some might sprout, but without intention they often wither away. For me, one of the most profound shifts in my life came when I started practicing pausing before making decisions, big or small. It sounds simple, but it's a game changer. That moment of reflection can make all the difference. It's in that pause that you can align your actions with your true values, your higher self. You can ask, is this in line with the kind of energy I want to put out into the world? Or will this bring me closer to the life I envision for myself? I'll be honest, it's not always easy. Sometimes, emotions flare up and it's tempting to make a quick, reactive choice. But that's exactly when it's most important to stop and reflect. Conscious decision-making is like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. And over time, you'll notice that your life starts to flow with more ease and alignment. The beauty of it is that when you make decisions consciously, you can look back without regret. Even if things don't turn out exactly as planned, you know that you acted from a place of awareness and intention. That's powerful. That's where true growth happens. So, next time you're faced with a choice, big or small, take that pause. Ask yourself, is this decision in harmony with who I am and who I want to become? When you make choices from that place of consciousness, you're not just shaping your life, you're mastering it. You're becoming the true architect of your own reality. Now, here's where things get really interesting: respecting the free will of others. It's one thing to embrace your own autonomy, to recognize your power to choose, but it's another thing entirely to respect the choices of those around you. And let's be honest, it's not always easy. We live in a world where people's decisions can sometimes frustrate or even hurt us. But understanding and honoring their right to choose is a fundamental part of living in harmony with this universal law. You see, when we truly understand free will, we recognize that everyone is on their own journey. They're navigating their own paths, making their own mistakes, learning their own lessons. And as much as we might want to intervene, to guide, or even to change someone's direction, we have to respect that their choices are theirs to make. This can be tough, especially when someone we care about is making decisions we don't agree with. I've been there too, wanting so badly to protect someone from their own choices, thinking, if only they'd listen to me, things would be better. But here's the hard truth. When we try to control someone else's choices, we're not respecting their free will. We're imposing our vision of what we think their life should look like instead of allowing them the space to grow, to learn, to be. And that's not love. Love, real love, is letting people make their own decisions, even when we don't agree, even when it's hard to watch. It's trusting that their path, no matter how winding, is leading them somewhere important. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that everyone's journey is different, and that's okay. What works for you might not work for someone else, and vice versa. But the beauty of free will is that it allows for that diversity of experience. It gives each of us the freedom to explore, to fail, to succeed, and ultimately to find our own truth. I've come to realize that respecting someone else's choices doesn't mean you have to agree with them. It means you accept that they have the same freedom you do, the freedom to create their life on their terms. And honestly, when we respect the free will of others, we're also giving ourselves a gift. We're freeing ourselves from the burden of trying to control outcomes that aren't ours to control. It's liberating, really. You start to let go of the need to fix or change people. Instead, you focus on your own journey, your own choices, and allow others the space to do the same. And that's when real growth happens, not just for you but for the people around you. When they feel respected, when they feel free to make their own choices, even the mistakes, they're more likely to learn and grow from them. So, next time you find yourself wanting to step in, to take the reins on someone else's life, remember, their free will is as sacred as yours. Trust in their journey just as you trust in your own. Because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to find our way, one choice at a time. Let's take all of this talk about free will and bring it into the real world. Free will in action. Because it's one thing to understand these concepts, but it's another to apply them in everyday life. How do we actually use free will to shape the reality we want to live in? What does it look like when we consciously choose, every day, to take control of our lives? Here's the truth. Free will is most powerful in the small, seemingly insignificant decisions we make. Sure, big life choices, like career changes or moving to a new city, are important, but the real magic happens in those day-to-day moments when you decide who you're going to be. Let me give you a few examples of what I mean. Let's start with personal development. Every single day you have the choice to invest in yourself or not. You can choose to read that book, listen to that podcast, or take that class that helps you grow. You can also choose to ignore the opportunities for growth and remain stuck. I remember when I first realized how much power I had over my own self-development, it was like the world opened up to me. Suddenly, I wasn't waiting for someone else to give me the knowledge or the tools I needed to grow. I could actively seek them out. That's free will in action, deciding to invest in your own evolution no matter how small the steps. Then let's talk about relationships. This is a big one because so often, we think that we're powerless in our relationships, that other people's behavior dictates how we feel. But the truth is, every day you get to choose how you show up in your relationships. You can choose to communicate openly, to forgive, to love, or to walk away from relationships that no longer serve you. That's your power. You're not at the mercy of someone else's choices. You get to decide how you engage, how you react, and ultimately who you surround yourself with. And then there's career. Maybe you're in a job that doesn't feel fulfilling. You have two choices. You can accept it as your reality and remain in a space that drains you, or you can decide to make a change. You can choose to pursue something that aligns more with your passion, even if it's risky, even if it's uncertain. I've been there myself, facing that fear of stepping into the unknown. But when you make a choice based on what you truly want, that's when life starts to shift in ways you couldn't have imagined. The universe responds to those bold choices. Finally, let's talk about lifestyle. Every habit, every routine you've established is a reflection of your choices. You can choose to take care of your body, mind, and soul, or you can neglect them. Every day you get to decide if you'll meditate, eat healthy, get enough sleep, or let those things slide. And trust me, I know how easy it is to fall into unhealthy patterns. But that's the beauty of free will. You can always choose again. You can always make a different decision tomorrow or even right now. What I love most about this is that it gives you back the reins. You're no longer a passive player in your life story. Every moment, every action, is a chance to exercise your free will and consciously create the life you want to live. It's not about waiting for the right time or for everything to be perfect. It's about making the best decision you can with what you have right now. And that's where true empowerment comes from. So ask yourself, how are you using your free will in your daily life? What small choices are you making that are either moving you toward or away from the life you desire? Because the truth is, those little choices, made consistently, are what shape your entire reality. And when you start making those choices consciously, with intention, that's when everything begins to change. Now, let's get into the ethics and morality of free will, because here's where things can get a little tricky. It's easy to say, I have free will, I can do what I want. But the truth is, just because we can make any choice, doesn't mean every choice is right or aligned with the greater good. Free will, at its core, carries a tremendous responsibility, not just to ourselves but to others. I'll tell you something I've come to believe. Freedom without boundaries can lead to chaos. When we think about the decisions we make, it's not just about what serves us, it's about how those choices ripple out into the world. What impact are our actions having on the people around us, on our communities, on the environment? These are questions we need to ask ourselves, especially in a world that often encourages us to prioritize individual gain over collective well-being. Here's an example. Imagine you're in a position to make a business decision that will benefit you greatly, but at the expense of others. Now, you have the free will to make that choice, and it might even seem like the smart thing to do in the moment. But what about the long-term consequences? What about the people who will be affected? This is where ethics come into play. Free will isn't about doing whatever we want. It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. Personally, I found that the most fulfilling choices I've made were the ones where I considered not just my own desires, but how those choices would impact others. It's like a compass. When you're aligned with integrity, the path forward feels clearer, more purposeful. And that's the thing about ethical decision-making. It doesn't just benefit the world around you, it also brings a deeper sense of peace and alignment within yourself. Let me be real here. There have been times in my life when I made choices based purely on what I wanted without considering the bigger picture. And you know what? It never felt right. There was always this nagging sense of imbalance, like I had betrayed some deeper part of myself. It took me a while to understand that when we act without considering the ethical implications, we're not just harming others, we're distancing ourselves from our own truth, our own higher selves. That's why I believe that free will, when used in alignment with a sense of ethics, becomes a tool for connection, not just personal gain. It's about recognizing that we're all part of something bigger, that our choices don't exist in a vacuum. When you make decisions with integrity, you're contributing to a world where everyone has the freedom to thrive. And here's where it gets even deeper. When we act ethically, we actually expand our own freedom. Because we're no longer making choices from a place of fear or greed. We're making them from a place of love and responsibility, which opens up new possibilities, new connections, and a sense of belonging that you can't buy or manufacture. It's a freedom that's rooted in trust. Trust in yourself, in others, and in the larger fabric of life. So, when you think about exercising your free will, remember this: freedom and responsibility go hand in hand. It's not just about what you can do, but what you should do, what aligns with the highest version of yourself, and what leaves the world a little better than you found it. That, to me, is the true essence of ethical free will. Now let's take this to an even broader level, the integration of free will with other universal laws. You see, free will doesn't exist in isolation. It's intertwined with other powerful principles that govern our reality, like the law of cause and effect and the law of attraction. And when we start to see how they work together, that's when we really begin to understand just how much influence we have over our lives. Let's start with the law of cause and effect. This one's simple, but it's profound. Every choice you make sets something in motion. You decide to take a certain action, and that action leads to a specific result. Cause and effect, it's like a cosmic dance. But here's where it gets really interesting. You are the one creating the causes. Free will is the catalyst that starts the ripple effect, and what comes back to you is the consequence of the energy you've put out there. I remember the first time this really hit home for me. I was in a situation where I was constantly feeling stuck, like I wasn't getting anywhere. I kept wondering why nothing was changing in my life. But then I realized I wasn't changing the causes. I was making the same choices over and over again and expecting a different result. That's when I finally understood that if I wanted to see new outcomes, I had to start making new decisions. And when I did, everything shifted. It was like a domino effect. One conscious choice led to another, and soon my entire reality started to evolve. Then there's the law of attraction. Now, this one is all about energy, like attracts like. The energy you put out through your thoughts, your emotions, and your choices is exactly what you're going to attract back into your life. And here's where free will plays such a vital role. You get to choose what kind of energy you're putting out there. If you're constantly choosing fear, doubt, and negativity, guess what? That's the kind of energy you'll attract. But if you make the conscious decision to align with positivity, love, and abundance, the universe will reflect that back to you. I'll tell you from personal experience, there's nothing more powerful than realizing that you can consciously shift the energy around you. I've had moments where I felt completely weighed down by negative circumstances, but when I made the intentional choice to focus on gratitude, or to take a step towards something that filled me with joy, things started to change. And it wasn't magic. It was the natural law of attraction responding to the energy I was putting out there. So, what does this all mean for free will? It means that every choice you make is part of a larger cosmic system. You're not just choosing in a vacuum. Your decisions are rippling out into the universe, activating the law of cause and effect, and attracting energy back into your life based on what you've chosen to focus on. It's like a feedback loop. What you put out, you get back. And when you start making conscious, intentional choices, you become a master of that loop. Here's my personal take on it. Understanding this integration of universal laws is one of the most empowering realizations you can have. It means that no matter where you are in life right now, no matter what challenges you're facing, you have the power to shift the energy, to set new causes in motion, and to attract a different reality. You're not stuck. You're never stuck. You always have the freedom to choose again, to make a different decision, and to start creating a new outcome. So, when you think about free will, remember that it's not just about the choices you're making today. It's about how those choices are interacting with the larger forces of the universe, shaping your reality in ways you might not even see yet. And that's where the real power lies. When you start to make choices that are aligned with both your inner truth and the universal laws at play, you're not just living life, you're creating it. So here we are, the final piece of the puzzle. After everything we've explored, what does it all come down to? The power of choice. Your free will isn't just a concept. It's the tool you use to design your life, to shape your reality, and to influence the world around you. Every moment, every decision, is an opportunity to step into alignment with the life you truly desire. But here's the thing, it's not about making one big dramatic choice. It's about the consistent choices you make day in and day out that define the course of your life. Think about that for a second. Right now, you have the power to choose what you think, how you feel, how you respond to life's challenges. You're not a victim of circumstance, you're a creator. And the more you embrace this, the more you'll see that your reality is a reflection of your choices, your intentions, and your energy. That's the beauty of free will. It's a force for transformation. Now, before I leave you with some final thoughts, let me ask you, what are you going to choose today? Will you choose to take action, to step into your power, and start making the decisions that will lead you to the life you want? Because here's the thing, nothing changes unless you decide to change it. And that starts with a single choice. Before we wrap up, if this message has resonated with you, if you feel even a little more empowered to take control of your life and make conscious, aligned choices, then I have a request. Hit that subscribe button. Join this community of seekers, of people just like you who are ready to step into their full potential. And don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell me what choices you're going to make today to start shifting your reality. I want to hear from you because this journey isn't just about me sharing ideas. It's about you stepping into your power, and I'd love to be part of that journey with you. So, as we close, here's my final thought for you. Your life is the sum total of your choices. You have the power to create something incredible, something meaningful, but it starts with the decisions you make from this moment forward. Don't wait for the right time, because the right time is now. You're not just a participant in life, you're the creator. Embrace your free will, make choices that align with your higher self, and watch how your world transforms. Remember, every action you take, every thought you entertain is a choice. Make it count. Choose wisely, choose with intention, and most importantly, choose to live a life that feels authentic to who you truly are.